Today is Thursday, May 9th, and I will call this meeting of the Building and Grounds Committee to order at 11:03. We are waiting on one additional member who will be joining us after we get started. Before we dig into the agenda today, I would like to welcome appointed committee members and spend a few minutes just going around the table and doing quick introductions. So I'll go ahead and start. I'm Shannon Gascoigne. I'm an Amherst School Board representative. Wrapping up my first year of a 3-year term on the board. Prior to joining the board, I was very active in the Building and Grounds Committee and Facilities Advisory Committee since 2018.
I'm Stephen Valley. I'm just a community resident and just want to be part of this group in order to make improvements on the school buildings and grounds.
Mike Berry, superintendent, my first year.
What's the name? First school year?
Yeah, first year in this job.
All right, I'm Greg Fritz. I've already disagreed with Shannon because you're starting your second term.
Oh, I'm wrapping up my first year of a 3-year term.
No, you did that in March.
I just wrapped up my first
Year, yeah,
of a
okay.
3-year term.
Okay, fine. Wrapped, not wrapping. Got it. Okay. Already wants to make it. That'll come later. My name is Greg Fritz and I'm on the school board for the first time. So I got three years to go.
Steve Chamberlain, Assistant Superintendent.
I'm Roger Preston, Facilities Director.
I'm John Conforti, so I'm one of the new citizen members. I've been a resident here for 14 years. I have 2 kids in 8th grade. Hopefully going to graduate from 8th grade very soon. I'm an attorney by trade. I currently work for the Lottery Commission, which probably doesn't have much resonance here with this committee, but prior to that, I worked for the New Hampshire Attorney General's office and did quite a bit of work for the Department of Transportation, Department of Public Works, as well as other state agencies. So hopefully I can be of some assistance.
You're welcome.
My name is John Bowkett and I've been a resident of Amherst for 55 years. That's it. Thank you.
That's enough, John. I'm Amy Casey. I'm the business administrator.
My name is James Schroeder, citizen on the committee here. Glad to join the first meeting. Been involved in similar groups, not at the school board, but along the kind of associations, overseeing some schools, different budgets, not in the school world, but kind of commercial interior office space for that. Originally from Georgia, wife and I moved up last summer, so I want to get involved in the community, and we've got 2 girls over at Wilkins.
Welcome.
Thank you. Christine Grayson. I've been involved with JFAC when we had JFAC and currently here at Buildings and Grounds. I'm also involved with our Amherst PTA, our Sohegan PTSA. I've served on budget committees, the Sohegan Advisory Finance Committee, Amherst Ways and Means, and the SAU Budget Committee. I've lived here 14 years now. My kids have gone through Clark and Wilkins and are currently at the high school. And I'm just happy to keep serving our community.
Great, thank you. All right, well, moving on, I sent the agenda to everyone. If you need a paper copy, though, I do have one here if you want to follow along.
Thank you.
So, yeah, sure. All right, so our next order of business, we have 3 sets of minutes to accept. So for those of you new and joining us, please feel free to abstain. These will be 3 separate motions.
We start. How big is the committee this year? How many people are on this committee?
Everyone here except for one.
Okay, so we have 4 of them. That. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that the right number? Plus 1 of 8.
Plus 8. No, I'm sorry, there's 2 missing. Magnolia.
2 missing. 9. Okay, all right.
And Mr. Dart is on his way.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks. Cool.
Okay, great. So we will do these as 3 separate motions. I will take a motion to accept the minutes as presented first from the 11/29/23.
We're gonna want to change this anyway. I want to change this anyway. So could we
We have a motion and then we can put it
pull it
on
off?
the table to discuss.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, great. I will second that.
Okay,
And discussion.
All right. So we want to change those minutes.
You have an amendment?
I have
to-
amendments to those minutes.
To the minutes, okay.
Okay, so the
And what is
minutes
that?
were really short. So, and I think also they weren't accurate. I think we should add some detail to the first bullet where we talked about some reviewed cost estimates from DW on options 1 and 2. I don't have just wording for that, but I think we should do that. On the second bullet, I think it's not true that unanimously agreed that option 2 is what the committee will recommend to the board. I don't know what that means, will recommend. So I have a paragraph I'd like to suggest we use instead. I'll read it out loud. Committee Chair Shannon Gascoigne asked for an informal survey of how the members were feeling about each option. Each member favored option 2 over option 1 for various reasons, including the minor difference in cost compared to the benefits of the new construction. Greg Fritz was supportive of option 2, quote, if he pretended that these are the only 2 options, end quote. Greg also mentioned support for continuous maintenance of the building, as that may have more community support. Shannon asked Greg to clarify that he supported option 2 or option 1, which he agreed, but option 2 does not have his full board support. Greg agreed that option 2 does not have his full board support, and he wanted to see full cost of option for band-aiding the solution. That's quote band-aiding the solution, end quote. With upkeep and no major renovations as an option for voters to consider. Greg mentioned that the quote band-aid option, end quote, is probably a worse option, but we should have it cost in public consideration. John mentioned that we should, quote, stop band-aiding the building, end quote. Well, that's my.
Okay. Does anyone have any thoughts on the amendment offered by Mr. Fritz?
I want to know why are you changing? What are you changing?
Why am I changing the wording from the one bullet that we have now?
Yeah, what?
Because it's not accurate and it's not complete,
What are you changing it to?
what I just said.
Oh,
Ms. Grayson?
Well, our minutes are supposed to be just kind of summaries of what, when the meeting was called to order, who was here, did we vote? Points we discussed, we're generally not writing, verbatim or details on Greg said, Steve said, it's kind of a general thing. And then we put the little disclaimer at the bottom that says the verbatim account is available online.
Okay,
So I
so
feel like we
that's
should-
not that's not what I've heard historically. Before, I've written much more detailed notes than even this one I wanna
Okay, well,
put.
that's what we're talking about now.
And I've been called out by the same SAU that was not long enough, not detailed enough.
I don't know anything about that.
But-
I'm just saying that for our practice, if you look at the other minutes, that's generally what we do. We
Okay,
don't have an official minute taker. I've been taking the minutes and I've been just following that format.
okay. The other thing is, I think what's written there is inaccurate in the sense that it was unanimously agreed that option 2 is what the committee will recommend to the board. It was informal, it was not what we would recommend to the board, we didn't recommend to the board. No vote, I would also like to add to the minutes that no vote was made for recommendation to the school board in this meeting.
Okay, so I was at that meeting. We all unanimously agreed. I agree there was no formal vote, but I guess we didn't feel like that was absolutely necessary, and certainly moving forward, I think we're going to make a change to that. But I do not agree with changing the minutes that
So
way.
I want them to be, they need to be an accurate representation of what's happening.
They are.
And I understand what you're saying, and I know why you're saying it, but we're covering up the fact this is a misstatement of what happened. It's been revealed to everybody else in town, this is not what happened in this meeting. The
Wait,
minutes,
revealed what? What do you mean?
at
revealed?
deliberative, it was pointed out.
No,
this is
that
not
was
what
your
happened.
statement at deliberative.
And it
That
was
wasn't
agreed to
like,
by Shannon,
no,
that I was right, that there was no formal vote.
there was no formal vote. I
So let's
agree
put that
with
in
you.
minutes. That there was no formal
No, we
vote,
don't, I don't think we need to, because we weren't charged
but
with
it's
a formal vote.
accurate, because
It's also accurate that it was a Tuesday. Do we need to put that on?
that's on there, by the way.
Okay, so, can I?
Yes,
would you guys mind
absolutely,
if I-
please.
So I do think that currently the minutes comply with policy BEDG, which states that the minutes must include the names of members participating. It does check that box. Persons appearing before or addressing, we didn't have public comment. A brief description of each subject matter discussed. A record of all final decisions, and a recorded or roll call vote or motion. So none of a roll call motion didn't happen. Greg,
Doesn't have the
Greg,
third vote.
wait, I'm not. I understand that have some challenges with the phrasing. It was unanimously agreed upon that option 2 is what the committee will recommend to the board. Would you be more comfortable with a statement that said it was unanimously agreed that option 2 is preferred over option 1? And strike the recommended to the board? Is that the essence of what's giving you heartburn here?
That's
Because-
part of it, but then the fact that you've used this meeting as a bludgeon to make a point that's not true. Makes me feel like a more complete and true quotes of what happened is warranted, and let the people decide what those quotes mean. Take them, interpret them their own way, but the facts of what was said should be recorded, given the fact that you've made this a real, bludgeon instrument.
Who?
You,
How?
by saying what you said previously, both that deliberative and then in this.
I didn't
interpretation.
record these.
No,
minutes,
it's
so
deliberative
we're
I'm talking
voting
about.
on this.
You're talking about-
With
you-
people
you've
who
talked about-
were Here at the meeting.
You've talked about citing a particular timestamp in this particular meeting. In your response to my pointing out that you were not being truthful at the deliberative session on your slides. And so because of that, it should be much more clear what was said, and then people can decide what it means. When they read what was said, but have a complete option should be on the table.
I think I get what you're saying, Greg, but. I guess the best way I can say, what difference does that, I mean, I guess you're trying to get the people to understand what you would like. I guess as the options presented for your perspective, but how is this being productive as a group in order to find a solution for the issues that this school district is facing? So this type of bantering in between on trying to make someone seem superior or whatever you want to call it. Why don't we just vote on the minutes? You have your perspective on what you would like to, I guess, for the people who you want to understand that your opinion, and everybody's opinion matters. But we're not being productive as a group that all of these people are taking time out of their day. Let's all be productive as a group together to find the solutions to the problems instead of arguing about minutes right now. So let's find a solution to the issues at hand so we can move forward and be productive as a group to correct the problems that we have with our buildings and grounds.
So Steve, hold on. This is not a good use of time for anybody. So Steve, my experience with subcommittees, that the minutes are not quotes and verbatims. They encompass the general spirit of the conversation. And I think that's where we need to be with our subcommittees of the school board. And I think we put them to vote. And Greg, if you want to take this up at a later date, but we're not going to get into debates because there's a trend going around SU 39 that we are debating minutes at length at board meetings, at subcommittee meetings, and it doesn't feel good. It's not necessarily what you have to do. So Steve, your experience of 37 years in education and 22 as a superintendent, what would be the preferred recommendation if it's not what I just said?
So minutes are summarized, people offers their amendment and we vote. If people vote for the amendment, that's fine. If not, minutes will just need a majority of the people to vote to vote for the
But
minutes.
we're not voting members.
We are not.
We are not, but I am the superintendent and this is not a good use of time.
So the
This was
motion on the
this was not
table,
made up.
I gotta make a phone.
This issue was not brought up when minutes were questioned years ago on Ways and Means. This defense never existed.
that's a different superintendent,
Brett.
That's a different
Choosing to enforce rules against different people.
Different practice, Greg.
Can I just,
It's real coincidence.
okay,
It's
so
a
I
real-
want you to get us
I
back
want,
to
I
order,
want to make,
please.
I want to
It's-
make
No.
a note. The particular image that is discussing, let's put it on the agenda. And follow on with the other two,
Yeah.
and
So-
discuss it at a later meeting.
So I'd like to get us back to order. So we have the minutes are on the agenda. We have a motion on the floor and an amendment has been offered. Does anyone, so we'll take a roll call vote on the motion on the floor, which is to approve the minutes, and Greg has offered an amendment. So does anyone want to,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
okay, do we have a second?
No,
If you falsify these minutes, that's a cover up of the crime that you may have already committed, and this is the cover up of commission of crime. Don't do this, Shannon. You should accept the minutes that are true. You should not play this cover up game with official minutes.
I'm gonna make a suggestion again. The particular meeting that you're talking about, let's put it on the board for next meeting. And continue on with the other 2 minutes, so we can have a
Okay, I'll
meeting
do that.
discuss,
We all vote
okay?
no then. If we all vote no, that happens, Shannon. We all vote no, this is tabled the next time.
We can table it for next
That's what
time.
I'm
if you
trying to
want
say, let's get on with the meeting.
Deal, go ahead and vote.
Okay. So there's no
I'm
vote
gonna
because
vote
you
for-
didn't get a second on that one.
Okay, but there's still a motion on.
So the motion
minutes
to-
Unamended. Christine made the motion to accept as unamended. And then I made a
As
motion.
presented,
So we have to
yes.
vote on that no, we're gonna table it.
All right.
So what's the motion again?
To accept the minutes as written, as you wrote.
As
them.
presented.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made that motion,
Yeah.
that stands. Does
It was
anyone have a
seconded.
second to that as they're written?
John seconded.
Don seconded.
I second that.
Okay,
Now we're gonna vote no to table, or vote yes to accept them.
who else gets to vote on this? They weren't.
They
Yeah,
can vote if they want, they've
No.
probably.
Right, so
You
it's,
can't vote on minutes.
right,
You cannot vote on minutes on a meeting. that
Okay,
you-
right, so
you
just-
cannot attend.
So John,
So no table.
I make the motion that the table. the
wait, no,
first-
we have another motion on the table. The motion on the table is to accept them as presented.
Yes, second.
Yeah.
Do you want to accept them or you want to table it? No, a no would be a table.
I want to table it to make you comfortable with what we're doing,
Great, so we vote no then, right?
so we can review it.
so do you withdraw your second of my motion?
Well, yeah, if we have to do that,
Okay.
yes, sure.
Okay. So do I withdraw the motion then?
You would
Just
vote.
vote no if you're done with it.
Okay,
We'll do it the next meeting.
All right.
Let's continue with the next two meetings.
okay, so now there is a motion to table the minutes from the what's the date? From the 11/29/23. Would someone like to make the motion to table those minutes to the next?
Make a motion to table those minutes from 11/29/23.
Table the
Okay,
minutes.
that is
the
made.
next
Do we have a
meeting.
second?
The first one,
Do we have a second?
minutes
John?
for
I'll
11/29.
second.
Yeah, okay, Greg seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving forward. I would like to accept a motion to accept the minutes from the February 1st, 2024 meeting. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second? So, 15 seconds, all in favor? Motion's passed. I will accept a motion to accept the minutes as presented from the April 11th, 2024 meeting. Can I have that motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Mr. Bucket makes the motion. May I have a second? Mr. Valley, all in favor?
Aye.
I wasn't there.
Okay, so you're abstaining.
I'm seeing.
Okay, so Mr. Fritz is abstained, the motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving forward,
Wait,
Mr.
before we
Gar,
do that, can we put these draft minutes on the website? We look at draft minutes posted by the after the meeting, only what's happened.
sure,
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to resend those and make sure they're up.
I think it says available within 5 days. I don't know.
It does, the statute says
You
available.
know, it's incredible kind of things that I was in trouble.
So
with.
moving forward, we have
Now
people
is
here
okay.
on a timeline, and I will respect their time and move our meeting forward with the agenda items. Mr. Dart, welcome.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate you communicating
you
that you are
snuck in,
going to
huh?
be here. We've all taken a little moment to introduce ourselves. If you don't mind, I'd like to put you on the spot and ask you to do the same.
Dart, just in terms of
Just a quick, like, you know,
background, okay, yeah, background in construction management in Boston, and I run a construction consulting company that basically does physical needs assessments on behalf of banks when they lend on specific projects and properties, as well as new construction and rehabilitation. Yeah, been doing that for about 20 years and been in Amherst for almost 20 as well, so, yeah.
great. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us and welcome.
Yeah.
All right, our next order of business is our organizational meeting. So we need to appoint a chair and secretary of the committee. I have chaired this committee for quite a while. So I would be happy to, yield this leadership position to someone else. If anyone would like to make a nomination,
I nominate Shannon to be chair of this advisory committee.
well, I appreciate that, John. I would also suggest that, Christine Grayson has been involved for a long time, and she would do an excellent job if she'd be willing to accept a nomination, as a.
I'd be willing.
citizen. Okay,
I'll second Christine Grayson.
great. We have a second from Mr. Conforti. So is there any discussion on Christine Grayson being elected as chair of the Building and Grounds Committee?
She would do wonderful job.
Thank you.
An endorsement from Mr. Valley. Very good. So I will call the vote. All in favor of Christine Grayson as our chair? Get to vote.
What do you think?
Okay, so that was unanimous, and with that, I will turn this
Oh,
meeting over
thank
to
you.
you, Mrs. Grayson.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone. I
for
appreciate
this.
your confidence in me. So we would like to have a secretary, if anyone would like to step up. It's traditionally not a job anybody really wants to, so I'm just gonna say,
Not gonna lie.
would anybody be willing to?
Who was our secretary?
It was me.
Maybe you two are trading roles?
I'm happy to.
Okay, so I will nominate Shannon for secretary,
But I'm also happy to yield that to someone else.
if anyone else would like to.
Anyone want it? No, I don't wanna do it. I've done it. Well, I don't think we school about personally, I don't, but whatever. Does anyone wanna do it? New member wanna do it? No, I think someone else.
Not
should
after
do it.
that interaction.
No, maybe.
And I'll be clear, I don't want to do it,
I hear you, I hear you, yes.
So Shannon, if you, whoever got this job, I
But you're
think,
welcome
I
to
think,
do it.
I'll give a speech about,
available if you do.
I know, I appreciate that. I don't need a speech about secretary role, I know you've done it before for the other roles, the other committees you're on. But the secretary, I do believe, when you say is available, traditionally, I think that what we should do is we should be able to post draft minutes on the SCU
Okay.
website.
We just want
I
to
feel
nominate,
fine this role of
no, I
secretary.
really, we just want to nominate a secretary
They
right
don't
now.
roll it, right?
And that, and we're not discussing the role of secretary at this point.
How do we not?
Greg, I really feel like you're just trying to impede our progress here.
I'm not, I'm trying to.
And I just want to
Route
move on
somebody
with the
else.
agenda because we all have other commitments and we'd like to just get through the agenda. So can we nominate a secretary and then we can discuss the requirements at the next meeting? I will make sure I have all of the,
No, I'd like to
RSA.
describe the job before we put someone in that role.
so do you have any documentation that says what you think a secretary should
I mean,
do?
yeah, go look up the,
No, see, this is what I'm
no, I
saying.
don't have it in front of me.
If I need to look it up or you need to
Okay.
look it up, I would like to put it on the next agenda. So are you opposed to appointing a secretary right now? So we will not record anything here now?
I was so hoping
Or
to say
just
one more
post it?
breath of productive speak before I was interrupted. And then we could vote on a secretary. That's all I wanted to do was one more breath.
Go ahead.
Will you allow that?
Yes.
Thank you. So I'd like the secretary to be able to post minutes on the SC website within 5 days of the meeting as is required in the RSAs. And then support any kind of changes to the minutes before the next meeting. That's really the only goal.
I believe
So
Mr.
draft
Chamberlain,
minutes within 5 days.
Yep,
Gotcha. I will be happy to do
but
that.
is that a requirement?
that is the requirement.
I'm not arguing I'm not going to.
I will look
spend
that
time
up. The
arguing
next meeting, I will put that on the
particular
agenda and we can have
RSA
another
91
discussion.
colon 2, but I am happy to submit minutes within 5 days, not a problem.
Thanks.
And if the committee so desired, if it would support, I know Chelsea could come and take minutes here. And then post them, so she can also serve in that purpose.
If that would work with her schedule, I know when we had the Joint Facilities Advisory Committee, we did have an SAU minute.
As long as they're during the day, or I can talk with Mike, and if that's.
So that feels like a good solution. Is everyone happy with
I
that?
am,
Would
it's
you-
right. Yep.
Would you be happy with that?
I am.
So Chelsea.
So whenever
So we'll
possible,
have-
we will
Whenever
have Chelsea.
possible, and then I'll serve, yep, love it.
All right, so then do we need to make a motion then?
Why don't we? So
Yeah.
the motion
Okay.
would be that, I will serve as secretary in the absence of, SAU, personnel available to
Because
serve as the minute.
because Aaron could come down and help us too.
Yeah,
Great.
So,
we could grab a.
yeah, so why don't we see if we can,
Is
Chelsea,
everyone comfortable with that?
that would support, and Chelsea can post the draft minutes with it, she does that.
Right, that's her
So
thing,
it's
yeah,
a little more
okay,
efficient.
okay.
If that's what the committee wants, I don't believe that's a requirement, but I believe if that's the will of the committee, we will certainly support it.
That
Say
would,
you
that
are.
would be great. So do we need to nominate Chelsea or just nominate that you will be the person in that Chelsea's absence?
Correct.
All right, so I'll make a motion that Chelsea
Chelsea.
can
take
do our minutes. And in,
Not necessary, but fine.
but in the absence of anyone, any SAU personnel being able to do that, Shannon Gascoigne will take the minutes for
Perfect.
us.
Great.
All right, does anyone have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? All right.
All opposed, nobody, nobody, okay.
Chelsea, and then Steve. Pen doesn't write in. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the board update from Greg Fritz and Shannon Gascoigne, our Amherst School Board reps.
Great.
Not
Would
really,
you like
but
to
do
do
it, you can do it.
So the Amherst School Board met just this Tuesday. First and most importantly, we were excited and pleased to hear the nominations from Mr. Fritz and Mr. Gothier of our 3 newest members. So welcome again, and thank you for offering to serve. Additionally, we spent time laying out I'm just trying to find that date here real quick. Here we go. The Amherst School Board discussed the results of the recent election and have determined to commission a professional survey of the community just to garner additional feedback as to how the vote went regarding the warrant Article 12, which was the Wilkins Building project. So that will be forthcoming. So that's going to guide kind of some future steps for this work. So in terms of the Wilkins project, we probably won't hear anything about that again in this committee until our next month's meeting. The current focus for this committee, as charged by the board, is the phasing and financing recommendations for the continued work at Amherst Middle School. There's a major roof and HVAC project going underway. Phase 2, which is the largest phase we will have completed to date, will begin the week following school ending. So that's a $1.6 million roof and HVAC project that's starting to one of the original sections of the building. So we'll hear more about that, and we'll provide you all with more information on that, but that's really going to be a big chunk of the work that we're tasked with doing as a committee. We're using capital reserve funding that's been accumulated to pay for that. We have some phases that have been offered for the remainder of the work. The roof is of different vintage around the building. And so and Robert, please feel free to chime in if I go off book here with what I'm saying. But the vendor that we've been working with, they've offered us some phasing options based on age and need. And now we need to look at that with the lens of how can we finance those phases? Do we need it broken up into different phases? And how can we do that? Are we bonding? Are we looking at leasing? What grant funding may be available at a state or federal level, all of that. So that will be a big focus of our work, and we'll get you all the materials you need to get up to date on where we started and where we're at. Additionally, updating the capital needs assessment, we'll work with Roger to support him in that work. And we have portables in the back of Wilkins for classrooms of students. They're rather old. So we need to look at their life cycle and what the future of those portables will look like, depending on, the time. We know that even, let's say we put something forward on the ballot next year for an extension or a new school or whatever, that's still to be determined. How much longer will those portables support those 4 classrooms worth of students during whatever construction or whatever may happen there? So that is our work, and that is the update from the board.
Correct me earlier, I'm sorry, but we all talked about the portable in front of the school, which I think is on it's starting its last year in the fall, right? Is that what we said?
2-year
contract? So that's also, we have to discuss that probably too.
Yep,
The offer, that's just an offer.
That's an offer.
Question.
yes,
Did
yes,
the
sir.
school board authorize start reviewing the elementary school again?
Not at this point. We're waiting to, the survey that we're commissioning. We're going to get that feedback from the community, meet as a board, and then we'll be offering a charge to the
Well,
committee once we've done that work.
Wasn't one done for that 5 years ago?
We've done multiple surveys, so each year after the election,
Right,
yep,
so why are we doing it again?
to garner feedback on the last election, and because the plan has changed multiple times from what we originally put forward.
Does the SAU pay for that?
Historically, we've done that in-house, but we have
When you
contracts,
say in-house,
meaning that employees here have helped the board
Oh,
develop the
okay.
survey. But for this survey, we are using a professional firm that's been contracted with the SAU to do, we have a variety of surveys that have gone out to parents, community as of late, so we're piggybacking onto that.
It was $2,000, like that, right?
We
$6,000.
didn't finalize the price, that was
Something in there.
an issue.
so the SAU is doing it, that
Correct.
coming up with the money, okay. then you-
But I think it'll be billed to Amherst, won't it?
This one will have to be built to Amherst.
Right,
Yeah.
so this, yeah.
Yeah.
SAU will facilitate, but the funding will come from the Amherst School District.
Okay, all right, that's,
Questions like
You have a question?
other questions created by the board or different staff
It's gonna be
members?
it's gonna be a partnership, this is a professional, kind of, information gathering company, the company's called Qualtrics. They have a company offering called Isobar Public, and they, that is their job and their profession, with all sorts of different forms of industry. It's a global company. So from public services to higher ed to Fortune 500 companies to school districts, they have different branches. And we did the start and end time survey through them and had a good experience with them. And it will be a partnership, so we're gonna look at some of the questions that were used in years past. Partner with them as they are kind of experts in designing questions to yield the most consumable information for us. But we're also going to try to have a big reach with this survey, so it's not just going to be students and staff and families that we have their email addresses. We were going to partner with the town and different organizations to have a widespread group to give us the information. So it's gonna take a minute to do this. And so we're thinking that this, to support this work, is gonna result in a kind of like 2 surveys. So probably a one, just to see if there's an interest and maybe some of the things that people want more information on regarding the project. And then a larger kind of survey that has maybe some focus groups based on the answers, has some, some marketing things that we can do out of it. So more to come on that, but the school board, our interpretation, talking to the Amherst School Board, is they weren't ready to commit to moving forward, putting this on the warrant for March of 25. They wanted to pause, gather some more information, and see if the community still had an appetite. My opinion, when you're at 54–55%, I know people disagree with me. I think that's a majority. It's not a super majority. I would assume people have the appetite to do this work, but we'll pause and gather a little bit more information, and we'll do it. And we have a follow-up. We're waiting on a proposal from Qualtrics. That's the update. We met with them on the 7th, Tuesday, and they'll be getting us a proposal on what this looks like. And then to your ultimate question, we'll bring in us and we'll draft some questions and work them, and we'll make sure that Tom and Shannon as chair and co-chair have eyes on the questions before they go out.
Terry did ask that some of the questions be similar to previous years, so we can kind of track kind of progress as well. So, but as Mike said, we'll have new questions that the professionals know how to ask, sort of to get.
But they'll be based off of those, and that's kind of how we start end time surveys.
Okay,
So
that's good to know. Thank you.
But yeah, time is of the essence, because we really would like to do this before we break for summer, so we can do communications and marketing plans and hit the road in September. We wait until after, and the board doesn't put it on the warrant until September. Then you work on your marketing plan September, October, and we're not taking advantage of the time that we've gained. So John, to your point, time is of the essence. I agree with you.
We're almost in the same spot we were at last year, depending on if we move forward with the same or if we're going to something new. So I agree with you.
Thank you for the updates. Roger, you're up next with district facilities update.
So we have just a little over a month now before we started AMS. We've had 3 monthly meetings with the vendor administration, myself and staff that are involved. We have site logistic plans all set up as far as where the dumpsters are going, where our crane services is, the entrances that we're using. We have no issues with the skylight timeline or roofing material timeline. The rooftop unit is actually on its way to the rigging company in Laconia, so we have no concerns on ventilation or heat or anything for the project. That will arrive on time. We've selected our metal panel colors and our window colors. We're going with the black. There's no issues on those metal panel timelines as well. A couple behind the scene things is we're still working with Banwell as far as just submissions from EEI, just confirming that everything that we had Banwell spec for the project, that we're actually getting installed in the project. There has been some minor changes, but nothing that impacts the projects. Just for instance, we spec'd out 3.5 rock wool insulation to go in that metal panel area. They couldn't find 3.5 inch within the timeline of the project. So we've modified that from 3 inch, and then we're just using a bat for the rest of it within the studs. But everything it's in the weed stuff, but we're working with Banwell to make sure that we meet code compliance. If there's any installation requirements that they see, we're making sure EEI is aware of that, and that gets translated to the vendors. That's really it. I mean, we've been meeting monthly, virtually. We had our first one in person, but next month really starts our actually this month we have one more virtual, and then we have the project actually starts. So
we're moving forward great on AMS. And then just for new members and all other members is I do inform the board on just what happens every month within our buildings for the Amherst School District, all of our buildings, those are in the monthly reports. And then there's also a link to the website that you actually can see a play-by-play as I'm entering it and as the month is happening, where you can go in and just see each building, each report as it is. You don't actually have to wait to the meeting is what I'm saying. There's live updates right from the website there, so.
And the money's okay for all this?
Yes, we're on track.
Good.
And just a reminder, for the EI project, we saved $500,000 by having the money ahead of time.
Yes.
Booking it December, I think, right?
Yeah.
And because we did it and we could order as opposed to the March after a meeting, the March late, we ordered so early that we caught very advantageous, maybe a couple hundred. So.
Steve's absolutely right. And
So
the
that-
update isn't our rooftop unit isn't gonna be here in time. It's because of those decisions. We're on track. So it's just.
Something's on time.
So the-
Fantastic.
So the board really building up the funds, planning this well ahead of time was saved significant money and ensured, well, it gave us all the odds we can to finish it on time. I mean, so, yeah.
That must be an ongoing issue if you're doing construction in the summer and you have to wait till March to get funding.
Exactly.
This must always put you under the gun for
Yes,
these types of.
and it makes much more, the bidding is much more competitive, right, because of the number, like, we get them on early, we get early values, because people insuring work as opposed to competitive. The first one in line gets by the price.
Yeah.
Sorry, that wasn't very eloquent.
Oh,
I got there.
Yeah, HVAC equipment is a 6-month timeline.
Yeah.
It's tough.
So is that
Steve,
insulation.
Right, exactly.
Anybody have any other questions for Roger?
Roger, where online is I was gonna send a link to everyone, where, I'm on the SAU page, I'm just missing it, and if you don't have it off the top of your head, you can just.
So if you go under administrations and
Yeah.
you click building and grounds.
Yep.
And then right when you're at building and grounds, there's a link that says facilities documents.
Perfect, sure, I'll send that out. Great, thank you.
Gotta follow the crumbs.
They're there though.
They are there.
Are the, Roger, the EEI work, the phasing plans, the current CNA, that's all, is that in the same area? It's all under facilities? Cause I know some of it's under the buildings and grounds website. I just want to be able to have our new members look at it.
With,
Okay.
we could find it.
My
And it-
monthly updates are actually underneath facilities director. They blend. I need to work with IT to just make that more visible, but they're there.
Okay.
That's the live update right there, Roger? you're talking
Yeah,
about?
if you went into monthly updates, it
Yeah.
actually pulls up my drive and then
Right.
from 2020, every year I have a year spelled out. And then this year I
Oh.
started including pictures. So there's not.
So it's
4 years
23,
of budget.
24 they're all up for right now?
Yeah, if you went into 23, 24, if you clicked into May, that's the month we're in. Those are my updates to get prepared, but all April updates are actually done, so you can see everything that happens in April. I'm obviously a month behind. I
Very
can
cool.
update May when we're in May.
Thank
You're
you.
legit.
I won't blame you for that, Roger, that's okay. You couldn't time travel for our convenience, I understand.
Good work.
For our new folks, I'm not to embarrass you, Roger, but Roger's been doing an amazing job keeping us where we need to be with the maintenance all our buildings are, kind of need some work and he's got it organized. He keeps up on stuff. He's just been great. And I don't think that we'd be this far if it wasn't for Roger. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
He's got a multi-year plan, he's got things.
He's got everything. So yeah, we're gonna get all that together and share that out.
The,
Yeah.
the portables for the Wilkins School. Did we have money set aside for them, or did we vote money in
I
for
don't think
those?
we do.
No,
That's kind of what we're gonna talk about as our charge from the board. What do we think about financing?
and what is it,
End of
Roger,
line.
4 of them?
There's 2 right now that are 4 classrooms.
Okay,
So 2 classrooms in each, and I will say that. I don't want to say the CNA doesn't pick them up, and it doesn't pick them up because they're temporary classrooms. So we're really only picking up anything permanent, but I mean, our temporary has become permanent after 20 years. But, and again, the Wilkins project did pick up for that, so I think it's just a further discussion on how we move forward.
okay.
All right, any other questions for Roger?
Hey Roger, we watertight in the last couple of storms in AMS.
We have been okay. We're still chasing leaks as they come, and especially in the area that we're doing the roof work in, because we're replacing it.
Are
but-
all the leaks in the park gonna be replaced
Yes,
in June? Okay, glad to hear it.
And the emergency generator was up running okay after you fixed it?
our generator is okay. I don't know what you're
I
referring
thought
to.
we had a problem with it not kicking in.
No, we're okay with the generator.
Okay,
AMS's generator is okay. Believe it or not, AMS generator is 1979. It still looks brand new because it sits within the electrical room, which nowadays it would not sit within the electrical room, but it's
or was
grandfathered
it
in.
a transformer that gone? I can't remember.
It was a breaker that failed at the
breaker.
high school before my time.
Oh,
But proactively, the Amherst School District replaced that same style of breaker because their switchgear was the same, so we haven't had any issues with that, and
where do
we changed it to square D.
yeah, good.
We had to recertify the electrical switchgear, everything, we had UL come down, it was really a big ordeal.
Is there any, do you know if there's any delays for the materials to be delivered for June? For the AMS roof repair?
I have not heard of any delays at all, my update included everything was on track, that really was imperative to school operating.
That's awesome, thanks.
All right,
That'll be a big deal.
Thank you,
Um,
Roger.
thanks, Roger.
Thank you all.
So our future meetings, schedule, so we've been meeting on the second Thursday of the month from 11 to 12. And part of the reason we're during the day is because we absolutely need the SAU staff here to participate in these meetings. So we're gonna continue on that schedule. As long as we have an in-person quorum, we can still meet. So when I send you the agenda each month, if, I'll try to remember just to say, are you coming to this meeting? Please just respond so I know, because if we can't have the meeting, we don't want to all show up here and waste anyone's time. But you can zoom in if we have that quorum here.
So Christine, if you put 5 people, right, 'cause we have 9 members, so 5 of us is a quorum,
Five, there's five.
so we need 5 in person.
Five people need to be
That's
here in
meeting.
person.
And so we can't email more than 4 people for business related stuff too, right?
Well,
Same reasons.
no, I can email the entire committee and say, hi, can you all come? And they can all respond to me. Is that
Gotcha.
correct?
We just can't discuss business.
No, it would just be
5
like,
that number for this committee this year, 5 in person for a meeting.
Right.
We can't have 5, we can't discuss when 5 of us on evening.
yeah, no, I wasn't intending to have a discussion,
You
just
can
a,
discuss a meeting.
Right.
yeah, just for you to let me know that you're coming, so I can make sure we're not,
Perfect.
okay. So we may add additional meetings if we need, depending on, all the stuff that we're charged with from the board, if we need extra time, you may do that. And Shannon touched on some of this earlier, the communication, so we are a subcommittee of the Amherst School Board, so we're subject to the open meeting and right to know laws of RSA 91A. Everyone should have their SAU email account now, and we should be using that for communication. If you haven't gotten it or you have an issue, Shannon has offered to make that connection with tech and make sure that's all good. And like we just discussed, we should only be talking about logistics, the meeting, or hey, do you have a link for this document kind of thing? We shouldn't have a discussion about any other stuff. Areas of focus. So Shannon touched on all of this. We're gonna work with Roger to work on the capital needs assessment update. So Roger, I don't know if you have an answer to this now, but how could we be helpful to you? We don't all be like, hey, Roger, like every 5 minutes, but do you have a thought on what this committee could do?
Well, for the Sauhegan School Board Committee and the Brick School Committee, what I've done is I've kind of created a plan off of my recommendations, feedback from administration, and then we have the committees review that plan, make edits as needed, and then I'm not sure if Sauhegan ended up going to the school board for approval eventually, but then
Yeah.
recommending it to the school board after that point.
Recommending
So,
what?
so so you want
Just-
to fill in?
Yeah, please.
So Roger, and Roger and I have actually already started this work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
so, he will have, all of the projects that are planned out over a period of time and a recommendation on how to phase them. And then we'll have our starting balance and recommendations on, funding for each year. So that it will show up as a nice way to see all the projects and balances over time. So we'll work on that together and bring that to this committee first to review.
Okay,
And then the idea would be, it would go to the board after that, for approval.
so when you're ready with that, you'll let us know and we'll make sure it's on the agenda.
Yep,
Okay,
Do a
perfect.
Spreadsheet.
I'm gonna do a spreadsheet,
it's already started.
yes.
It's not ready for prime time yet.
Just for communication and consistency with the community, we're trying to use the term CNA/CIP.
Okay,
Because there's some questions about whether or not we have a CIP, and it's very similar, very close.
oh, okay, right.
So
And
we
it
go,
informs this,
it sure does, exactly, it
Yeah.
feeds right
It's
into
just
it.
some legal technicalities for CIP, which is items over 75,000. So that's what gets reported to the
Oh,
town.
okay,
But our plan encompasses items that are less than 75,000, so to be more complete. So
okay,
that's why,
that makes sense.
that's why we're doing the slash.
Okay. One of the other things that we are charged with is to develop the recommendations for funding and phasing of the roof work, as Shannon mentioned. So, you know, some of the options would include, like she said, bonding, using a CRF if there's grants available, operating budget. So once we've all reviewed the phasing plans, the work, this current CNA, we can kind of talk more about that. I think once, especially you guys who have like experience with this kind of stuff, will be great to hear from you.
And Christine,
yeah.
not to interrupt, but that dovetails into this because that's a question. Is
Right,
that
okay.
included in the
Oh, okay,
CNA, as projects phased over time? Or does this committee want to
Right.
contemplate doing, you know, a bond or, a lease project? So those are questions that have to be grappled with.
So are those things we need to decide before September, right? Because if we say we recommended a bond, we think that we should offer that solution to the school board. Does that mean we need to get that recommendation to them by September so they can decide to put that on a warrant if they so choose?
So really budget timeline, it's all
Okay,
the same
budget
budget timeline,
Okay,
but it would be the same timeline as we did for the Article 12 that you would
Okay.
do. If you do another bond or you do a lease purchase, or of course, if you just put it in the budget, then it's just the budget. timeline.
right, okay,
So it's not really September, but it's fall.
okay,
Yeah,
So we-
draft one of the budget will be submitted to the board in October.
okay.
So, but as you know, it goes over multiple months.
Yes,
So
it does. Yes.
there's time to make changes.
Okay, and then as Shannon also mentioned, the portables at Wilkins, how long will they last? Will they take us to the end of a project if it passes? What if it doesn't pass? We have to figure out, you know, what else can we do? I know there's been issues with the portables. There's something about wires and the skirting, and Roger's been on top of all that.
Bathrooms.
Well, the bathrooms are just.
That's the big
yeah.
one, bathrooms.
I believe they're working, they're just not optimal. I guess. is the word.
They're shared bathrooms
Yeah, they're
between the
shared
two
bathrooms,
spaces.
yeah.
I mean, so there's for 4 classrooms, there's 2 bathrooms that are shared with
Yeah.
the Jack and Jill doors on each one. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
they're functional, they're working. I mean.
yeah,
Love Jack and Jill doors.
Yeah.
not our ideal solution, but yeah,
I mean,
so we
Roger's
need to.
doing a good job with
Absolutely.
duct tape and chewing gum, but they're,
Not literally.
no, I know, but they,
Well, we
They're-
appreciate that, because they're
they're-
really extending the life as much. as
they're
possible.
toward the end of life.
Yeah.
There were 20-year classrooms that were 20 years plus.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Temporary classroom.
All right, so I think for the next meeting, we're gonna get the documents out to you, the EI stuff, the CNA/CIP, 5-year planning documents, the link to Roger's monthly facilities update, so if we can all review those. And come to next meeting. Any questions that aren't clear, you know, Roger, you'll be here, right? To
Yeah,
answer
please,
any
I-
questions.
Yeah.
This way we'll be familiar with it, and we can kind of maybe set a timeline on when we wanna make decisions on things. And I also wanted to ask if we could schedule some tours of the buildings. I know that takes a lot of Roger's time
Good
and,
idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
and, you know, Steve.
I
or Mike.
recommend that we do Wilkins for sure.
Well, I feel like maybe we should do AMS first, like if we can get, I'd like to get this done, you think AMS?
I think so, just because we have so much to do.
AMS, yeah, and we know that's our charge right now.
That charge.
But I would love to get this done during school, because being in that building and seeing how it operates while you're looking at the issues that we're trying to fix, I think is just unparalleled. You really need to. So if Roger, if you could maybe connect with me on
I
time.
can't, I just, when you say, like, just during school, it's very tough to walk with a committee of this size through a
Okay.
building and not just kind of raise eyebrows. The building and staff are more than welcome to do that, but during a school day functioning is just, it's very difficult of a committee of this size. I'd recommend
Everybody.
Yeah, what about new members?
maybe new members, absolutely, I mean,
I mean, I'm happy to
yeah.
Okay.
go that tour.
I mean, I know there was some discussion at the last school board of like, you did a walkthrough at a really inopportune time in the annex one time. I'm a parent, I've been in that building many times during school, not during school, so. From my perspective, I don't need to, I have a sense of how the building works, I'd be more interested in seeing the mechanics of it, it would be pointing.
You will get
Yeah.
more out of it from me with an empty building that we're able
Okay.
to take the time and review the systems and talk in classrooms rather than this is a classroom filled, I mean.
So you're saying like 3:30?
For middle school, I would say 4 o'clock, let the
4
campus
o'clock?
clear, let people get out, 4 o'clock is a good start. If you wanted to wait until after school is out. I mean, we can do June during the day, but if it's something you're looking to get done within the next couple of weeks, I'd say after 4.
Okay, so maybe you could just get back to me with some time.
I would say you
Yeah.
get back to me with times
Oh,
that
okay.
work for the committee,
All right.
and I mean, I'm here, I'm flexible.
Okay.
Balky would like to. review.
Okay, all right, so I'll send an email to everyone and, we'll just come up with some times, we'll only email times and logistics, so we're not discussing any of the issues. What else? I think that's it. I think we're done. Did I get everything?
Shane, do you want to mention the July retreat? We didn't talk about it officially.
Oh, sure, go for it.
Okay, so this is not official. We were talking about planning a July retreat for folks on facilities issues, right? We are.
The board has a July retreat planned for board work. I didn't know we were
Board.
having one focused.
No,
on
that's what I was-
facilities. That's what this week was supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought July was data.
Right.
Performance and build goals.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not gonna, I'll ask you, we're
I'm
gonna,
sure that will include facilities because we're working on our goals, but that's not a
okay,
specific.
because in the past, I
facility.
know, I told I couldn't go to the meeting, but you said you would have enjoyed going to the retreat, so my question for this group is this group invited to the July retreat?
Every board meeting is an open meeting,
Okay,
every single one.
All right,
so I think that might be something to attend if you wanted to kind of.
yeah, all the meetings are posted, all the schedules are online.
So
That's
when you
you
say,
do negotiations, that's not an open meeting, but all the regular board meetings are. open.
when they say retreat, where are we going?
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
Right here, I think.
That table right there.
Thank you much. That's as far as I want to go.
All right, well, I think we can adjourn the meeting now at 11:54. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and, we'll get those links out to you.